Hello to all who watch this video. I'm bunmey. Today we have a theory of Naruto, so get your popcorn ready. This is about to begin.
If Naruto had been trained by Anko, an innocent demon. Part 1. Currently we can see a little boy, no more than 5 years old, walking through a village. He could see the looks of hatred that everyone was giving him. The village where he was known as the Great Shinobi Village, hidden among the leaves, known worldwide as Konoha. It was home to the most prominent shinobi in the entire ninja history of this world. But why did everyone despise such a small boy, who clearly had a sad look on his face? You could also see that he had been beaten, was malnourished, and little tears were falling from his blue eyes. Well, it was very simple. That boy was known as the Kyuubi demon, who one day massacred several people, several of their families. Many people lost their children, wives, husbands, and important people in their hearts. So the hatred they felt was directed towards the one responsible, or at least what they believed was responsible. In addition, another characteristic of that child was that he did not have the features of a normal human, but possessed characteristics of a demon, or at least that's how everyone saw him. He had fox ears and had 3 tails growing out of his lower back. What do you think you're doing, brat, walking past my tent? You've been told countless times not to pass this way. Can't you see you're scaring away customers who want to come to my place? The little blonde boy didn't say anything. He just looked down and started to head in another direction, as he didn't want to get into trouble. I still don't understand why Hokage-sama lets this little demon roam freely around the village. You know, Hokage-sama is quite kind to everyone. He even took pity on this disgusting demon. Naruto clearly heard the conversation of 2 women who were looking at him with disgust. And more comments he could hear all the time. He was tired of hearing the same thing every day. It was true that he wasn't normal, but he didn't decide it either, it just happened. He never asked to be born with those strange fox features. A tear of frustration escaped his eyes as he clenched his fists in anger, for he could no longer bear to live like this. I hate you all, he said quietly, but a Chunin standing nearby could hear him and delivered a strong kick that hit him in the face. The boy fell dazed as the Chunin shouted loudly at him, and the whole crowd heard what the little demon said. In less than a minute a large crowd was present and began to trample the boy so that he writhed in pain and never got up again. Please stop. I haven't done anything to you. They always hurt me. They always yell at me. I always get their hate. Tell me, why do you treat me like this? I'm just a little boy. I don't think I'm capable of doing you any harm. A young girl with brown hair and reddish eyes was furious at such a comment. She stood in front of everyone and with a kunai pierced his shoulder. She looked at him with hatred. Because of you, because of your miserable fault, my parents died. I lost my mother, my father, and my little sister. I hate you from the bottom of my heart, you damned demon, said a young kurenai who at that moment felt quite good for having hurt the culprit of her parents' death. Without knowing that with that small action she was marking a terrible end to her life in the future. For Naruto Uzumaki was not just any child. He had inherited the most outstanding qualities of his parents. From his father he had inherited the photographic memory and remembered all the people who caused him harm and planned to take revenge in the future. But he had also inherited the kindness of his parents, so with pain from the wounds he declared to the red-eyed girl, please don't do what they do. I can see that you are not a bad person, help me get out of here. Can't you see that what is happening here is wrong? For a moment he froze with those words, as he remembered a redhead who in the past was his sensei. She dismissed her thoughts and now looked at him with more renewed fury. And so, for about 2 hours, Naruto was beaten by all of them. Even in unconsciousness, he could remember the voices of all of them, how they yelled at him, how they celebrated and said hurtful things about him, just as they also said hurtful things about the boy's parents. He didn't know his parents, but it infuriated him greatly that they would say such vulgar things about them, especially his mother. For some strange reason, he felt he had a special connection with his mother. Even if he didn't know his mother, he knew she must love him. He had no proof, but he had no doubts either. And that's why someday he would get revenge, since everyone was saying horrible things about her. With their blood, Uzumaki Naruto promised that everyone would pay for it. And it would be a cruel and painful revenge. After 3 hours of being beaten, he began to open his eyes. He was in the same spot lying down, with blood all around him. Most of his wound had healed. He sat where he was and clenched his fists in anger. I swear they will pay. I swear they will regret hurting me. I swear they will all kneel before me and there will be no mercy for any of them. He got up and limped to his apartment, which looked more like a pigsty, for it was a horrible apartment that many people invaded and destroyed. The damn Hokage turned a blind eye and never punished the aggressors. That's why Naruto Uzumaki hated him too. He always preached about peace, everyone deserved it. But he didn't. Was he any different? Her anger towards him grew just remembering it. The Hokage always said that he should forgive the civilians and shinobi who attacked him, because according to his own words they feared the unknown and for that simple reason he should forgive him. Was the Hokage an idiot? How could he forgive something so cruel that was done to him every day? But Naruto knew better than to go against the Hokage's will. So he would always put on a fake smile and nod cheerfully. But inside him anger towards that man was growing. And another of the things she hated him for was that he always asked her about her parents. And he always said he didn't know who they were. And he always told him that he didn't know who they were. How was it possible that the leader of a village didn't know information so simple to obtain? That's why Naruto always infiltrated the civilian library. There he would inquire about the general population, looking for every family and every trait of similarity they had with someone. He did it with the purpose of knowing the identity of his parents. But one day he came across an old album. The album showed the past generation and that's when he found something surprising. There was someone with his same last name, Uzumaki. A few tears escaped him, as he was finally able to meet his mother. She was a young red-haired girl with a big smile. Mother were the sad words of a Naruto as he rubbed the image. You don't know how much I miss you. I don't know if you are alive or dead, but I hope you had a happy life. I have always wondered if you loved me. Deep in my heart I know if you and Otosan loved me. The people of this town are cruel and merciless to me. I still don't know what I have done to them, but no matter what the answer is, I can't forgive them. You really have a nice smile, Okasan. I'd like to smile like that too, to smile genuinely, but this town has brought me misfortune and such deep hatred that I doubt I'll ever be able to smile like you. I only hope that if you are in heaven and see me you won't be disappointed by what I plan to do in the future. That night little Naruto, after conversing with his mother's picture, was able to sleep as he had never slept before. There was no more nightmare. He only imagined a life where his parents were alive and he was happy with them. Unfortunately this was the reality, and the reality was very cruel. In the morning the sun's rays began to hit Naruto's face as there was a window near him. At first, he didn't bother about it, but then he heard footsteps and knew it was the librarian. He got up quickly and put away the books so as not to leave evidence. He had a hood, so he covered his face and stealthily without anyone noticing he left the library. Now he had a goal, and it was to know who his father was. Luckily, he took the photo out of the album and had to see if he looked like someone who was in the album. Her course went straight to a park that was abandoned because the games for children to play were no longer useful because they were damaged, so it was the perfect place to check everything more calmly. Well, I don't see anyone around here, said Naruto to himself. From his pocket he took out the photo that he had carefully folded and opened it, then his sight was fixed first on his mother to dedicate her a nice smile and then he went looking at the rest of the people. Some of them he could recognize as the Jonin who from time to time gave him a beating. Naruto saw a boy named Minato Namikaze. He was amazed because they practically looked like twins. The only difference was that he didn't have fox ears or fox whiskers on his cheeks. Minato Namikaze was what Naruto said when he saw the name of that boy. He knew he had heard that name somewhere, but he didn't remember it clearly, so tonight he had to look again in the library and see who it was. He didn't have to be very smart because he knew right away it was his father. Now he had to find out who it was and see if he was still alive. He was in that park until darkness covered everything. With a sly look he looked around to see if no one was following him, and that's when he headed for the library. He crept in and then made his way to where the record of all the people who lived in Konoha was kept. It was there that he discovered another of the secrets that were hidden from him, as he turned out to be the son of the Yondaime Hokage himself. With that information he also learned that his parents had died. For as far as he could investigate, the two sacrificed themselves to defeat the demon better known as Kyubi. Although he had a sneaking suspicion that he had not been killed, but imprisoned. For in the library there was information about the Biju, and they knew that they could not be killed. He thought that they had imprisoned the Kyubi inside him, and that was the reason for his appearance, at least that they had not imprisoned him inside himself, but that he himself was the Kyubi himself. That thought stirred something inside him, because if that was true, then everyone was right, and he was a demon. For the moment he dismissed that idea, as he needed to investigate a bit more before coming to a conclusion. A friend in this shitty life. Part 2. It had been a few weeks since Naruto discovered the identity of his parents. Now he had to find out why all this information was being kept from him. Why was the son of two such important people being treated like dirt? Those were his questions. For being their son guaranteed him a life of admiration and fame, but he was living the opposite. He opened his eyes slowly to yawn. Then he wrinkled his nose because the smell where he lived was unpleasant. All the people threw garbage. They threw objects to hit him, and the house was practically a garbage dump. Those bastards wouldn't stop sending garbage. He clenched his fists with hatred and annoyance, for he was tired of living like this. He walked slowly in the direction of his fridge to see if he had any food. The only thing there were cartons of milk, but when he saw the date he was annoyed, because they always sold him things that were no longer good for him, since the expiration date had already expired. He went to check his wallet to see how much money he had, but he had nothing. Actually he had a good amount of money, but in this town everyone charged him 5 times more than things were worth. So he had practically nothing left, and if he had enough for anything it was not worth it. They only gave him damaged things. I just gave a sigh, and now with no other option I was going to see the Hokage. Even though I hate him, he is my only source of money and protection, even though he doesn't do his job very well. The same as always. He was going through the streets quietly without bothering anyone, but everyone was muttering things not very appropriate for a boy of his age to hear. Besides, there was the typical idiot who threw something to hurt him. Ouch, he had taken a bottle to the head that shattered on contact. Blood was starting to ooze from his forehead. A couple of tears wanted to come out of him, but he wouldn't give all those idiots the satisfaction of seeing him cry. He simply wiped off as best he could some of the blood and went on his way. That action annoyed the guy who had thrown the bottle at him. He was an older man and he was drunk. "Hey kid, aren't you going to pick up your trash?" Naruto turned a little and answered seriously, "It's not my garbage, it's your garbage, so pick it up and get out," was the answer Naruto said. The drunkard approached with quick steps and with his 2 hands grabbed Naruto's jacket and lifted him to his height. His eyes were red with anger. "Don't talk to me like that, you little demon, so pick up your trash and don't pass by this street, I live nearby." Naruto was about to tell him to go fuck himself, but the Lord didn't wait for the demon to answer him. With one of his free hands he grabbed him by the hair and slammed him to the ground. Naruto's face hit the ground and he got small cuts, as he hit him where the bottle that had been thrown at him had broken. His face itched, as the cuts became dirty with dirt, making it irritatingly itchy. He really didn't want to go on living like this. As best he could, he grabbed the dirt and shards of glass with his small hands and threw them in the face of the drunken jerk. That made the villagers scream in annoyance, and Naruto took the opportunity to run and escape from the place. Everyone present saw that and looked angrily at the boy. There was no shortage of idiots who went after him, and in less than 2 minutes they caught him. Needless to say, Naruto received his daily beating. These times were more vicious, and this time there were 2 kunai on both shoulders. He had passed out. After about 40 minutes he started to feel some light tapping on his cheek. Slowly he opened his eyes and could see a beautiful purple-haired young woman who had a big smile on her face. "Hello Gaki, what's a kid like you doing here in an alley? Where are your parents? Are you lost? If so, I can help you." Naruto might be small, but he wasn't an idiot. He knew that the smile she was putting on was a complete lie. Besides, how was it possible that she didn't know who he was, being the most hated guy in Konoha village? He put on a sad look. "I don't have a father, miss. And no, I'm not lost. Something just happened and that's why I'm here," was Naruto's short answer. Anko was clearly putting on a fake smile, but it wasn't because she hated Naruto. She hated how people treated a boy like that. She didn't blame the boy for not telling her the whole truth, for with that fake smile she knew he was trying to stay out of trouble, as she herself was doing the same thing. Anko looked around to check that no one was watching her, and that as if she herself had a bad reputation, and she didn't want to imagine what would happen if people saw her with the demon child, as most told her. She picked up the child, and although the child was somewhat skeptical, she let herself go. Though mind you, you could tell the child was stiff, ready to run away if she acted strangely. She didn't show it, but she was saddened by this child's behavior. A child who should be cheerful and happy, but because of the mistreatment he was constantly on alert for the dangers around him. Anko, unseen by anyone, took the little boy home. She healed some of his wounds, which were not too many, as the boy himself was healing. She knew the reason, but did not want to tell the child, as she thought the child still did not know about his tenant living inside him. Anko puts on a friendly smile. "Tell me Gaki, are you hungry? If so, I can give you something delicious to eat." Naruto shook his head, but his stomach growled with hunger. He made a pitiful face and then nodded his head. "Yes, I'm a little hungry." She, as a friendly gesture with her hand, tousled his hair, put on a smile and said in a calm voice, "I'll bring you some delicious food in a little while." Just hearing delicious food, a little drool came out of Naruto's mouth, as he was really looking forward to a delicious meal. When Anko arrived with a large tureen and placed it on the table, Naruto had a bead of sweat. "Ninja-san. Sorry if I seem disrespectful, but what I'm seeing is not dango." Anko smiled proudly. "And what do you think? It's the most delicious food you'll find in this town. I recommend it myself. Eat this every day and you'll be a strong shinobi." Naruto let out a small chuckle, as he found it quite comical how the woman expressed herself and how she also talked about such a simple sweet. Naruto didn't want to be rude, so he began to eat the candy. Although it wouldn't satiate him, but it would alleviate a bit of the hunger he felt. "Tell me Ninja, it's been a long time and I don't see that you've done anything. What's the trick to your kindness?" Anko was surprised, for she was being kind to the boy simply because she wanted to and because she wanted to see him happy. But seeing him so defensive made her sad, and she frowned with anger, for the treatment of the little boy of this town was inhuman. She knelt down to be on the same level as the boy and gave him a smile. "Relax. My gesture is genuine. I want to be your friend Naruto. I don't want to hurt you like the whole village has done. I know you distrust me and I understand that, but I will earn your trust. Do you hear me Gaki?" Naruto, still with distrust, nodded, for he had a small hope of having at least one friend in this disgusting village called Konoha. Naruto asked shyly, "Ninja-san, could you train me?" Anko for a moment froze, remembering her master Orochimaru and the vile things he did, as well as how because of her everyone treated her like she was that snake bastard's bitch. Then she simply calmed down, contemplated the idea and smiled. And that was because she had always wanted to have a student, but the council of this village, as well as the Sandaime Hokage himself, had not given her permission to have a student, even if she already had the rank of Jonin. Very well Naruto, I will train you, but I hope you won't complain. I will be severe and my training will be very rigorous, but believe me, if you succeed and adapt to the training, I promise you that you will be unstoppable. So tell me, are you ready for this? A little hesitantly he nodded, because he wanted the power. The power to change everything. So he would gladly accept, even if he had to go through hell itself to get the power, he would accept it. Yes, Ninja-san. I am ready. I will never abandon my way to be the strong one. Anko then gave a nervous smile. Stop being so respectful. My name is Anko. So when no one is around, call me Anko-chan, and when I'm in public, Anko-san or sensei. Okay. Naruto had no problem with this, so he nodded his head. Okay Anko-chan, I will follow all your advice to become as strong as I can. It was then that a bond was formed, a bond of student-teacher, a bond of friendship, a bond between someone who has been treated like a demon and someone who has been rejected for being a student of the traitor Sannin. Before training Naruto she had to solve his current state. Anko needed Naruto to be in the best physical conditions, as she realized that he was quite malnourished. So they spent more than a week where Anko fed Naruto properly, not only with treats, but with highly nutritious food. After that, they started with their training plan. Naruto was starting to get up. Someone was shaking him, and when he opened his eyes he saw his sensei. He opened his eyes with a start and said, Anko-chan, what are you doing here? It's very early. And yes, they were, because it was around 5 o'clock in the morning. Anko smiled a big smile. From today your training starts. So put on some sports clothes and let's get out of here. After dressing up in a simple jacket, a white shirt and black shorts, he walked towards Anko. They both stealthily made their way to the Forest of Death, where Anko lived most of the time and where she could train freely without anyone watching or judging her. Anko took him to a secret section where only Orochimaru and she knew, since she didn't trust the Hokage, and that's why she hadn't revealed this secret location of the forest. Well little Naruto, this place is a secret and I doubt anyone will find you here, so first we will start with basic exercises. You have to do 5 laps around this whole place and I will give you 3 hours to do it since it is quite a vast place. Naruto swallowed saliva and nodded. Then he began his walk. At first he was going well, he was going at a good speed, since for a little guy he was pretty fast and agile. After an hour he started to get tired, and after another half hour he was finally able to finish the exercise, finishing it in 2 hours with an hour difference to what Anko thought it would take. Well done brat, you really have a good physical condition, even if it's been a few weeks since you stopped being malnourished. You gave a good performance. Next you will have to swim. There is a small river here and you will have to swim against the current. Then Anko grabbed him by the shirt and pulled him into the water. Although afterward she got a bead of sweat and got nervous, because Naruto wouldn't surface. In her mind she said, shit, I guess the kid can't swim. Without further ado, she ran and jumped into the river, proving him right. And that's because Naruto was trying his best to reach the surface without any success. After Naruto saved himself and cursed his sensei under his breath, they continued this training for about 6 months. For every time Naruto got used to the exercise, Anko put weights on his body, making the training more difficult. Look at you Gaki, despite being a dwarf and a brat, you already have quite a remarkable body for your age. Naruto himself was quite surprised, for in a short time he had come a long way. He simply gave him a big smile, because in all the darkness that was in this village, only the person in front of him gave him hope that someday everything could get better. The Best Genin. Part 3. It had been several years since Naruto had been under the tutelage of Anko Mitarashi. The 4-year-old boy, once somewhat shy and reserved, was now a 13-year-old boy with a big smile and confident in his ninja skills. To commemorate his teacher, his sun-blonde hair was now painted purple. He also wore a red trench coat, and around his neck he wore something similar to what his teacher wore, a necklace with cobra teeth, which he liked very much. In the words of his teacher, Naruto's skill was currently high chunin to low jonin. What he was currently lacking was more experience, for while his teacher at the time of fighting was seriously attacking him, he needed to be able to experience how to actually fight an enemy who is ready to kill him. He was heading to the Ninja Academy. He was going at a leisurely pace as he still had a few minutes left to reach the academy. His sight was directed towards the stupid villagers who were still glaring at him with hatred and whispering hurtful things to him. These days he no longer cared and would occasionally stick out his middle finger with a sly grin. The villagers grunted in annoyance, but they no longer dared to attack him, because from the age of 6 he began to hit back. And with his growth in skills, he was already stronger than the villagers, and now he did not stop to hit back if provoked. Filling the hearts of the villagers with fear, for the nastiest beating Naruto had given one of them was that he had cut off 3 of his 10 fingers from his hand. Apart from that, he had poisoned him with a senbon and had embedded it in his throat, leaving him mute for the rest of his life. One day a chunin also attacked him. Naruto showed no mercy and mentally tore him apart. He left him tied to a poster that had spikes through every part of his body. Apart from that, he had burned his chest with a red-hot iron bar and had written the word idiot on it for all to see. That was why nowadays no villager would mess with him, for they knew that if they bothered him he would not stand still and slaughter them without any mercy. The Hokage called him to attention several times for his hostile behavior, but he simply folded his arms without giving it much thought. The Hokage one day tried to punish him, trying to put him in jail. He simply gave him a hard look and replied, "You do anything to me and at the least expected moment I will escape from this filthy village." The Hokage froze in fear that his most lethal weapon in the village would escape, as well as the legacy of the 4th Hokage would escape. That was something that could not happen. With nothing else to do, the Hokage no longer punished him, though he warned him not to be so hostile to the villagers. Naruto didn't really care what he said, since he already knew everything they were hiding from him: the identity of his parents, the fortune they hadn't given him, the house they hadn't given him, and many more things they were hiding from him. That was why the young Naruto no longer had any respect for the 3rd Hokage. Though of course, with the acquired skills plus Anko's training plus the natural stealth he had, he entered his parents' house, obtaining several of the scrolls. Currently he only knew and could use 30% of the knowledge found there. Currently he could already use the Rasengan, though he was trying to make it grow more, embedding it greater amounts of chakra. Though he needed more practice with his chakra control, as he possessed large amounts of chakra reserves. He also got hold of a katana that his mother had, because from what he could see in a letter she had left, that sword was special, as it symbolized his clan, as well as symbolized that he was the leader of the Uzumaki clan. Leaving all that aside, we see how the young Uzumaki had arrived in the classroom. All the students were looking at him nervously, as many of them tried to pick on him because their parents had ordered them to, but they were seriously injured to the idiots and sent to the hospital several times. Earning the respect and admiration of the whole class, although there were 2 jerks who always tried to challenge him to fight. One was Sasuke Uchiha and the other was Kiba Inuzuka. But they always ended up with the same result. Sometimes Naruto would leave them hanging naked from the ceiling, sometimes he would have them both tied face to face, too close for both of their embarrassment, and many times he would simply give them blow after blow until they were unconscious and sent to the hospital. That behavior infuriated the civilian council, as well as Kiba's mother and older sister. Naruto simply defended himself by saying that they were looking for him, so, if they didn't want conflict, then they should control those rabid dogs who didn't know their place in this world. The only one he got along with in all these years of school was Hinata Hyuga, since she was always very kind to him. From the beginning he knew that she had feelings for him, although at first he didn't feel anything for her. With time he began to take a liking to her, besides he began to have feelings for her, and that's why he would guard her from any danger around her. He often invited Hinata to his house, which was actually Anko's house, and asked her teacher to train her friend. Anko agreed, giving Hinata various trainings and making the girl stop behaving so nervous. Turning her into the most promising kunoichi of her generation and becoming more confident in her attitude, even though she always got a little nervous when she was with Naruto, because her heart loved the blonde so much. She would always be grateful to him, because thanks to him she was advancing a lot in her ninja path. Master Irika was saying the ninja teams. It was there when he mentioned Team 8 formed by Naruto Uzumaki, Hinata Hyuga and Ino Yamanaka. Then the masters of all the teams appeared, as well as a silver-haired man who was looking at Naruto with a sad look on his face. Naruto had an idea why he was looking at him like that, for he knew that this man was his father's student. Did he care about that? Of course he didn't. The idiot was never in his life, so why care about someone he didn't know and didn't want to know either? Their teacher named Kurenai appeared, where she summoned her students to go to training camp 8. After an hour they were all there and Sensei asked everyone to introduce themselves. The first to speak was Ino Yamanaka. Hello, I am Ino Yamanaka. I am the future leader of my clan. I like Sasuke, I like flowers and in the future I would like to be a strong kunoichi. Then followed the other girl. My name is Hinata Hyuga. I am the future leader of my clan. I like to watch cherry leaves fall, I like cinnamon bread and I like Naruto-kun. In the future I would like to be worthy to be by his side. That straightforward statement surprised everyone and Naruto smiled slightly, as he was surprised how Hinata had changed quite a bit and now had quite a decisive attitude, though a slight reddish tinge was also visible on her cheeks. Naruto coughed falsely attracting everyone's attention. Hello, my name is Naruto Uzumaki. I like sweet dango, I like being with my teacher as well as spending my free time with Hinata-chan. In the future I will claim my position as the leader of the clan. Well yes, believe it or not, I am a clan leader. I would also like to change the way this corrupt village works. That statement surprised everyone, because none of them knew that Naruto was part of a clan. Did they find it curious? Well, they never heard the Uzumaki surname for any clan, so they deduced that it was an almost extinct clan. Neither Hinata nor Ino noticed that Naruto occasionally glared at their teacher with hatred. Only Kurenai herself noticed it. And she didn't blame him. She had been an idiot in the past and thanks to Anko she was able to realize that she wasn't the only one who suffered and in that case it was Naruto himself who suffered the most because he carried the hatred of an entire village with him. Leaving her thoughts Kurenai to end the interaction of her students gave a round of applause, well done to all. Today we will start with something simple, all of you will face off against me, don't be afraid to use your abilities as I will use all of mine, so go in with every intention of defeating me or else you won't be able to give me a scratch. In Kurenai's mind she thought, let's see if Anko-chan's student is as promising as she says. Naruto disappears along with his companions. They stand behind a giant rock and Naruto starts talking. Hinata, have your Dojutsu activated at all times and tell me his location. Ino, when you get a chance, use your clan technique to paralyze our master. I will be the distraction. With that simple plan, the three of them headed towards their teacher who had already moved position. With Hinata's help they easily located her. Naruto used 3 shadow clones and cast 10 senbon each clone, making Kurenai move his position. Well done guys, but I'm a jonin, you won't be able to beat me easily with that. I agree with what you say, a voice was heard behind her. When she turned around, she saw something she hadn't seen in a long time, and said in a low voice, Rasengan. She was able to narrowly dodge it and by the same surprise of seeing that technique she got careless, causing Ino to activate her jutsu and capturing her teacher. With that they had finished Kurenai's test and now Team 8 was officially active. It had already been 3 months that they were all training and had improved quite a bit. Naruto also sometimes asked for permission to go out because he also wanted to continue training with Anko. Currently Ino Yamanaka was already a high-level genin, Hinata was a high-level chunin and Naruto was already a mid-level jonin. For in addition to Anko and Kurenai training, he had brushed up on more techniques that his mother and father had left him as an inheritance. He already possessed several fairly strong elemental techniques. His kindred elements were air, water and thunder. And thanks to his large reserves of chakra, in addition to having a Biju locked up, he was able to cast high-level techniques almost without tiring. One day they were sent by the Hokage to go help Team 7 because they were facing a rank A mission and they were not prepared and asked for reinforcements. They arrived in less than a day, and thanks to the support they were able to defeat the threat that was Zabuza and Haku. But in this story something changes. Naruto, having better skills and having more reinforcements, was able to prevent Haku from dying in vain. Zabuza on the other hand was quite injured and died from his wounds. Not before telling Naruto to take care of Haku, since he could see that Naruto was a good person. Haku with tears made a grave for his father and said goodbye to him and left with the others to Konoha village where he would restart his life. Confronting the Civilian Council. Part 4. The beginning of the trip back to Konoha village was pretty uneventful. The only problem was with Team 7, where both Sasuke Uchiha and Kiba Inuzuka were quite unbearable and wanted to make a pass at Haku. But nothing that a couple of punches in the face and knock them out wouldn't solve. Already entering the village, the team was able to report to the Hokage, giving the full report and surprising the Hokage about Naruto's abilities, as he placed him simply as a high-level genin, but the report he was seeing had at least a high-level chunin level. Tell me, Naruto, what will you do with the prisoner Haku? With all due respect, third Hokage, Haku is my friend and is no prisoner. She may have been under Zabuza's command, but she is my friend and will not be treated as a prisoner. The Hokage gave him a hard look and Naruto was quick to return it. After a minute of intense stares, the Hokage simply sighed and smoked with his pipe, waving for everyone to leave. I should clarify that in this world Haku is female. During this week Naruto had a lot of fun. Why now he had another new friend. Now I had 3 friends in this stupid village. She had Haku, Hinata, and Anko herself as friends. At the moment she didn't get along very well with Ino because she idolized that idiot Sasuke too much. A few weeks had passed and Haku felt calmer with Naruto's company. And she wasted no time and continued training along with Anko and Naruto. On a quiet morning where Anko, Naruto and Haku were having breakfast, they knocked on the door of the place. Naruto said in a calm voice to continue eating. He got up and walked with slow steps. He opened the door and asked curiously, "Ambu-san, why are you knocking on my door at this hour?" The Ambu for a moment remained silent, but answered, "The Lord Hokage calls you and your companion Haku to come to the Civil Council Hall, as he wants to ask you several questions and you must attend immediately." The young Naruto simply nods his head and closes the door. Those idiots really think I'm going right now. It's not like they're that important. Besides, I don't follow orders from the Civilian Council, I only follow orders from the Hokage, and that's already saying a lot. After having breakfast and getting ready, they went to the Civil Council Hall. Once inside they received withering looks from everyone. "Jinchuriki of the Kyubi, why are you so late?" It was the stern voice of an old man who had his entire hand and much of his face bandaged. Naruto gave a mocking bow. "Oh great Civilian Council, I am sorry for my untimely arrival, but the road was a bit bumpy and I could not arrive on time for this important meeting." That annoyed the elder counselors and some of the civilians present, though the matriarch of the Inuzuka clan let out a small chuckle at the mocking way Naruto spoke. "Have more respect when speaking, little demon." That was what a civilian advisor said, but Naruto didn't care. Naruto looked seriously at the Hokage. "Tell me, Lord Third, why did you incite me today and make me bring my friend here?" Several civilian advisors gave a sly smile, something that did not go unnoticed by Naruto, and he frowned and looked at everyone with daggers in his eyes. "Well Naruto, the Uchiha and the Inuzuka have informed me that your friend is special. She possesses a clan lineage, a powerful bloodline, and that is why she must be handed over to us so she can re-establish her clan here in Konoha." Those words frightened Haku, for she did not want to be treated simply as an object to give birth to babies. Naruto, realizing that, took her by the hand to calm her down. "Unfortunately it won't be possible, Lord Hokage, since Haku is currently in a relationship with me and you have no power over her." His answer made Haku blush. She knew that Naruto only said they were a couple to protect her, and she was glad that Naruto would go to such lengths to defend her. Enough, demon, we didn't ask for your permission. She will do as she is ordered, and since she lives in this village she must follow our rules. Besides, our Uchiha prodigy wants strong women to re-establish his clan, for with their dojutsu and lineage they will have strong descendants. Naruto could not stand it any longer and slowly began to raise both his and the Kyuubi's chakra, scaring the civilians and making the shinobi nervous. For he did not know what would happen if they kept pushing the Kyuubi's Jinchuriki any further. I said they won't touch her if they touch a single hair on her head. Believe me, what happened all those years ago with the devastation of Kyuubi will be just a joke. Ambu, arrest the demon, said one of the civilians, and 3 ambas appeared with katana in hand. Naruto didn't stay behind and took off the henge he had, as he had a henge activated a long time ago to hide his fox ears and tails. It could be seen that he now had red ears, as well as 5 tails behind him, which he swung wildly, scaring everyone there, for they had forgotten that the little guy had similar characteristics to a Kyuubi. Naruto looked at the 3 ambas in a defiant manner. Come closer, Ambu-san, and believe me, you will be the last thing I do. And it's not a threat, it's a warning. So come closer and you'll see what will happen to you. One of the 3 launched straight into the attack. Naruto didn't wait any longer. With 2 of its tails it grabbed him by the neck, and before he could say anything or anyone could do anything, the rest of its tails impaled various parts of his body, surprising everyone, and blood ran through the room. Naruto, that's enough, leave the Ambu alone, was the warning of the 3rd Hokage, who looked at him with an angry face. Naruto looked at him for a while and then simply dropped the Ambu on the floor. None of them listened to me, so I don't want any trouble for hurting this jerk who tried to attack me and my partner. Then Naruto glared at the 3rd Hokage, and if we are talking about re-establishing clan, I think you forgot that you have another one who needs to re-establish his clan. Or are you so stupid that you forgot, Hokage? The Hokage knew what he was referring to, but he didn't want to bring it up right now with the council present. He simply sighed. You and your friend can leave. No one will touch her or bother her, do you all hear me? The council felt reluctant, for though they all disagreed they could not go against the Hokage. Although Danzo and others had in mind to kidnap that young girl to give a strong offspring to the Uchiha. Thanks to the Kyuubi's ability, Naruto could sense emotions. He glared hatefully at the others. Listen to me well, Sandane, if someone attacks, regardless of whether they are under your orders or not, I won't be happy at all. If that happens, I will leave this village and never return. And if I do return, believe me, you will regret it. Everyone present was dumbfounded, as he was practically threatening not only the village, but also the Hokage himself. The Hokage said nothing, just looked at him with a serious look on his face. Late at night, when everyone was asleep, 6 squads of Ambu headed for Anko's house. They all had one mission, to capture Haku and make him have future children for this village. Several of the Ambu were at the doors, at the windows, and everywhere anyone could enter or leave the house. Naruto watched all of this from a poster of light. If someone looked at it, they would see a figure staring at them, and in the moonlight it gave a mysterious and demonic splendor to the son of the Yondaime Hokage. Naruto had an annoyed and unpleasant expression on his face. He had his henge out, so you could see his fox ears and his 5 tails swinging furiously at the idiots he was seeing with his eyes. I warned you, Hokage, were the simple words Naruto said before he lunged towards the ambus. The blonde was covered in red as the blood of the idiot stained his face and hair. Naruto tore them apart easily and effortlessly, for in his human form, as he called it, when he didn't have his tails and ears, he was on the level of a tall jonin. But with his tails and ears activated, he had the power of a Hokage, or at least close to it. Without waiting any longer, she headed towards where Haku picked her up to leave Konoha. Haku, wake up, we have to get out of this village right now, before more ambus arrive. In the same way, he woke up Anko to leave. Before leaving, they both went to the Hyuga compound and also told Hinata, who gladly agreed to leave the village. Once at the gates of Konoha they found the Sandaime and a platoon of 20 jonin in ambush waiting for them. The Hokage looked at them all seriously. "What do you think you are doing? They know that I can take this as treason and I can execute them right now." Naruto didn't flinch and with his tails grabbed the 3 kunoichi Anko Haku and Hinata by the waist. All of them had a slight blush on their cheeks. "I'm not afraid of you, Hokage. Maybe in your prime I would have been afraid of you. But now you are nothing but an old geezer who lets himself be manipulated by everyone." The Hokage with his hand ordered them to attack. When the ninja were very close to him, Naruto looked at them without flinching and then disappeared and to everyone's surprise disappeared in a yellow flash. "It's impossible. Is it Hiraition?" the Hokage asked fearfully. Then at great speed he headed for the house of his deceased successor. To his surprise and anger, when he entered the house everything was empty. The scrolls and the legacy of the 4th Hokage had been stolen, or rather, taken by his heir. That infuriated the Hokage, because according to him, all that legacy belonged to Konoha. He raised his chakra, drawing the attention of all the jonin in ambush. In less than 3 minutes they were all there. The Hokage looked annoyed at everyone. "They are all incompetent. A single genin has escaped from Konoha. Find him and bring me his head. I want him dead or alive, I don't care anymore. A weapon that doesn't listen is worthless, so you better bring me Naruto and his companions or else you will be worthless to me." That left most of the people there frightened. They all nodded and disappeared in a shunshin. To the old Hokage's bad luck nobody found anything. War and a Resurgent Clan. Part 5. Time jump many years later. We were on a battlefield, as the 4th Ninja War had already begun. The shinobi side was losing, as there were quite a few powerful people on the enemy side. Almost all the members of Akatsuki were present except Konan and Nagato who had mysteriously disappeared, as well as several Edo Tensei. Making the shinobi side of the alliance begin to lose hope of winning the battle. Obito Uchiha who was still wearing his mask had a big smile as he was very confident of his victory and more so having Madara Uchiha by his side. He only needed to obtain the 8-tailed Biju and find the 9-tailed Jinchuriki. The leader of a platoon shouted. Those of the aquatic jutsu activate water techniques. He shouted this because Madara used his signature jutsu the Goka Mikyaku launching a great flare of immense power. All the water-type ninjas tried their best, but it was almost impossible, as Madara was much stronger than all of them. However, thanks to the help of the current Hokages they were able to repel the technique, but they were all quite tired. All seemed lost, but to the surprise of all and disbelief of very few who knew what they were seeing, in front of them, several chains made of chakra came out of the ground and began to pierce the enemies, immobilizing even the Edo Tensei who could not free themselves from there. Madara Uchiha, in his Edo Tensei mode, looks furiously at Zetsu. Clearly I gave you the order to sow hatred towards the Uzumaki to eliminate their clan. Why am I seeing the chakra chains? Clearly there are still Uzumaki left. The black humanoid replied dumbfounded. In fact, I did exactly what you told me and it clearly worked as not long after that 3 entire nations joined together to slaughter the clan and annihilate them leaving that clan almost extinct. So they did a bad job. Was Madara's simple reply. Madara clenched his fists in anger as he had a brief recollection. About one of the many confrontations he had against Hashirama, in one of them his wife intervened. He at first scoffed, saying that a woman should not be on the battlefield. That day he was seriously injured and from then on he felt a great hatred for redheads and especially the Uzumaki. At that a yellow flash appeared behind the 3 of them. Madara and Zetsu moved out of the way in time, but Obito didn't because of the shock. For behind him was a man with blonde hair and blue eyes. He knew them very well, but it was impossible. In a voice of disbelief he said, Minato-sensei, is that you? Minato didn't even answer, as he had an angry look on his face, as the guy in front of him had ruined his life and his wife's life and also his son's life. But what bothered him the most was the identity of the subject, since in life when he cared for that subject as if he was his own son and he repaid him by betraying him in the most dastardly way. A Rasengan slammed into the subject's mask, revealing his identity. Minato growled in annoyance. Damn Obito, today ends your life. I should never have trained you. When Obito wanted to react, chains wrapped around his hands and feet immobilizing him. He looked out of the corner of his eye and was surprised to see who he saw, for in his childhood he considered her his mother. Kushina-san, is that you? Yes, it's me, Obito. But today I didn't come here to chat. Today I've come for revenge. Revenge for the betrayal you did to me. You still don't understand why you betrayed me like this. I loved you as if you were my son. Kushina wanted to shed a tear, but she held them back and then looked at him harshly, for in front of him was the guy who ruined their lives and she wasn't going to forgive him. You and all of Konoha betrayed the most important things I believed in growing up, and that was the love between comrades and that we were all one big family. I can't believe I considered you a son. Stupid excuse of a person. I bet you're still a virgin, you pathetic Uchiha. The words in Obito were not coming out, as he was quite shocked to see two people he himself had caused the death of. From time to time he had nightmares, for he still had some conscience and knew that what he had done was wrong. But he had a purpose. He wanted to see his beloved Rin alive again. You don't understand, Kushina. I did all this so that she would come back to me. Can't you understand my pain? You are the one who does not understand pain. A voice came from above him and many knew who it was, for it was Naruto Uzumaki, or as almost an entire village had called him, the demon of Konoha. But now he was a full-grown man with a stocky body. Moreover, his fox ears were still red in color. In addition, he no longer had 6 tails, but had now grown 3 more, giving him a total of 9 tails. For as time passed he realized that Kurama was merging with him. The Biju was losing his life, but he accepted it, for he no longer wanted to continue living a life of slavery to humans. So the Biju accepted his fate and began to train the little brat. Once they left Konoha and headed to the destroyed Uzushiogakure. It was there that he discovered several secrets. One of them was the Edo Tensei, and he spent more than 2 years devising a way to correct the seal and be able to revive someone without human sacrifice. At that moment they saw a barrier form around them. Just as hundreds of red-haired shinobi appeared. And to everyone's surprise, they were the extinct members of the Uzumaki clan. They all had a very serious look on their faces, as they all remembered the suffering and horrors they had experienced towards them, just because they had something special inside them. None of them wanted to help in this war, but if the enemy won the battle they could destroy the world, so they could not stand idly by and do nothing. An elderly, but still physically fit Uzumaki who was the former clan chief shouted, "Today the Uzumaki will return, today the Uzumaki will rule. And we will all follow Naruto-sama to our glorious return." All the Uzumakis shouted loudly, and without further ado they all rushed towards the enemies, tearing them apart, sealing them and ending their lives. Also several seal specialists captured the Edo Tensei that had the Bijus inside them. Madara was not going to stand idly by, and just as he was doing something, a red flash appeared. He opened his eyes in astonishment, for before him stood the strongest Uzumaki of his generation, Mito Uzumaki. She flashed a smirk and spoke to him. "Hello, you pathetic little scaredy cat. Long time no see, huh?" Madara was going to retort, but she wasn't going to let him. And with a chakra-enhanced punch, plus super strength, she blew his head off. Everyone's mouth dropped open, but since he was an Edo Tensei and was starting to recover, but not for nothing was he a high level in Fuinjutsu. With his own chakra he formed a seal, and in less than 2 seconds the Edo Tensei stopped recovering and Madara's soul left this world forever. And with that the war ended, but not before warning all the Hokages of the nations that if a shinobi set a single foot in Uzumaki territory that would mean a war. A war that they were not going to win, because now the Uzumaki possessed all the Bijus except the 8-tailed. The Konoha village was not going to allow it, as they thought that a small village would not be able to defeat a large village like Konoha, so they sent a large platoon to invade their territory. As a result of that action, Naruto along with the tailed beasts that were now free went straight to the village. They slaughtered 60% of the village, reducing it from a large village to a small one. It was now the weakest of all the elemental nation villages. To prevent this from happening again, Naruto went from village to village visiting and openly threatening, and with the Bijus there no one could do anything. Now the Uzumaki ruled. If before they feared him simply because of his great chakra and chakra chains, now they were going to fear him, because now they possessed all the Bijus. And unlike before, now they were no longer friendly to outsiders. For they trusted only themselves. Also, Naruto never forgot the face of his attackers, so when he went to the village, he ended the life of each of them. But he took pity on Kurenai, as Anko said not to kill her, but he did something cruel that Kurenai will never forget, as Naruto kidnapped her daughter, saying that he was going to take care of her as if she was his own daughter, but to forget that one day he would see his daughter again. Flashback to the moment. Several shinobi in ambush were on the ground, some mortally wounded, others dead and others tired from the battle that took place, because Naruto arrived and in less than a trice slaughtered almost all of them. With the help of the Bijus it was really not difficult to do so. We see how Naruto especially targeted his aggressors. Before slaughtering them and ending their lives, he tortured them for a while. Then he went towards the Genjutsu mistress. She was on the ground, while Naruto stepped on her spine with his leg. Tears were coming out of her eyes begging for mercy. "Please, Naruto, I know you are upset with me, forgive me, it was never my intention to hurt you." At that comment she managed to make Naruto even more upset by putting more force, sounding like bones were starting to break. "Your words won't stop me, Kurenai. I asked you for mercy at the time and you never gave it to me, so don't expect me to be merciful to you." Naruto snapped his fingers and a red-haired ninja, implying he was an Uzumaki, brought a baby in his arms. Kurenai opened her eyes wide and several tears came to her eyes. "Please don't. Everyone but her. She's my daughter, please. She's innocent, she didn't hurt you," exclaimed the woman who was crying, for she didn't want to lose her daughter. Naruto looked at her without compassion. "Don't worry, she will grow up loved and happy. But not here and not with you. You don't deserve to be a mother, for you had no mercy for a little child who was always mistreated. She will no longer be Mirai Sarutobi, now she will be Mirai Uzumaki. And let this be clear to you and your heart. She will never come back to you, you will never see her again. So say goodbye and have a miserable life, you human waste." Anko was also present and looked with some sadness how her friend was doing. She approached and bowed. "Don't worry Kurenai, I will take care of her and love her as if she were my own daughter. And don't worry, she will live a good life, but I can't change Naruto's decision. He hates you and this whole village, and even though I love him and he has all the love from me and the other girls, I don't think he can forget the hatred he feels." She gave him a hug and started to leave together with her partner. Kurenai was a sea of tears. She was crying and screaming, but Naruto didn't turn to look at her. His baby's eyes were open, her hand was also outstretched and she had a couple of tears. My baby, don't go away. Please, Naruto, forgive me. Forgive me. Forgive me." She screamed loudly to stop them from taking her daughter away. And it all happened for acting stupid, for letting herself be driven by hatred just like the others and not thinking with a clear mind. She cursed herself for blaming a child she had no fault in the Kyuubi's attack and the death of her family. He deeply regretted it, but it was too late. He would never see his beloved daughter again. End of story. Today's question of the day: do you want my stories to be shorter or longer but go deeper into the characters and their environment? Every Sunday I will take some time to read the comments. I've had a problem with editing the manga and will have to delay it, that's why I've posted this theory. I know it may sound annoying, but you help me a lot by liking and subscribing to the channel. To end the video, I have to tell you that I am very grateful to you for continuing to listen to my stories. Sometimes I consider the idea of uploading my stories in chapters, giving me time to develop the theories in a better way, but the joke of my channel is to upload the complete theories, so I'm conflicted XD.